Okay, what I'm hoping to do today is to start to pull together this whole idea of prototyping together with your Odyssey plan. And we're going to also kind of spin in there, and hopefully you're starting to see why that story of self and your public story is so important as you're going into some of these conversations and interviews. So today, we'll popcorn around, and this one will be, you can defer on this one, but what I've asked you to do is to present a question you would like feedback on for your Odyssey plans. So if you're gonna present your Odyssey plans to everybody, what is it that you are still a little unsure about or would like feedback on from an audience? Or if there's a question for me on the actual process, right? We had one of those about the detail of the sketches last week, was one that we went through. We're going to dig back into that part number 8 on creating your experience. And then I'm also thinking ahead, and because we didn't have this project due on Saturday, what I've done is I've combined the 2 projects that were due around the Odyssey plan, the presentation and the actual turning in of the plans. And so if we're looking towards recording an actual presentation, I want you to be very clear on your introduction and be able to, by the time we're done today, start to think about seamlessly moving into a description of that thing that you do, which will probably for most of you be the first one that you describe, and kind of get yourself rolling on your presentation of your Odyssey plans. We'll also have an introduction on prototyping and the prototype planning worksheet that we will start to get into a little bit today. But then I'm going to give you some things to work on that pulls in some of the activity that we just did to work on Thursday. Thursday night, so I've got these due on Thursday night at midnight. So there will be an opportunity if you have a last minute question, you can ask those. The portal for turning them in is open. So if you want to turn these in after today's class, feel free to record them and turn them in early. So first thing we're going to work on today, I really want you to think about that experience that you started to develop, that part number 8 that's over there on the right of the worksheet or the workshop template for you. Hey, Ethan, or the workshop template for you. And I would like you not just to have things written down, but I want you to think ahead as to how you would describe that experience, because I'm going to ask you to in that presentation. So I'm going to ask you to present your latest plan headline. What's it called? And then the role, place, social experience, and meaning as you would in your presentation. So I'm going to give you a minute or two to kind of work on that. You may have, you know, some words jotted down to fill in the blanks on each of them. But now I want you to think about it as how you would succinctly state, this is the experience that I'm going to try to have. It's like, I'm going to be a physical therapist in upstate New York that will have this particular role, that'll have this social experience. I'm going to be with other young graduates and college students to be able to make an impact on young people that are growing up and went to my high school and coach. Like, what is the meaning that you're looking to have there, the way it would in your presentation? I'm going to put you into rooms and you're going to be able to get feedback. The feedback, if you're somebody that has a hard time getting started or has a hard time finishing, sometimes finishing is hard too, you're going to have an opportunity to work on this. I'd like you to be conversational, but very succinct and to the point, and answer those 4 and address those 4 pieces, right? So I'm going to ask the question, was it succinct to the point or was it rambling? Was it presented like a conversation or was it presented like a checklist? And when I say that, that's like saying, this is the introduction, and then saying the introduction. In this case, my role is, the place that I want to do this is, now for my social experience is, that's a checklist, as opposed to saying it in one conversational phrase. And then the real test, and I will probably ask this as feedback on the feedback, can your partner repeat those 4 areas when you are finished? That will be the key, is if you have conveyed what it is that you want to convey. Okay, and so as we were putting these experiences together, we were doing them so that there would be a little bit of a difference and it would help accentuate the differences between your three plans. And again, the role, these are not set up as a job description. So the role being the profession or your role in the community or with your family, there's a lot of roles that people can have, right? Brother, sister, husband, community leader, advocate. Where do you want to have it? If you don't know a particular city and you want to say, I want to study abroad and be near the water, or I've always wanted to live near the mountains or somewhere where it's warm, describe that for us as to where it might be. What's the social experience? Who are you with? What can you do? And what impact are you making? What difference are you making for yourself or your family or for other people, right? If you're somebody that wants to coach in addition to what you're doing, why are you doing that? What's the value of that? Okay. Any questions on that? Let's see, we've got 5, 10, 13, 12. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to go ahead and put your thoughts together and kind of put together that experience, what it is for that thing that, so you're going to talk about your experience for your 3 plans and then present the 3 of those experiences in a conversation. So I'll give you about a minute to work on each one, about 3 minutes. Yeah, Ethan.
This is just a question, and tell me if I'm wrong, but this is just all based off of the Odyssey workshop, correct?
Yeah, so on the Odyssey plan, each Odyssey plan, part 8.
Yeah, they're different.
On the right, the role place, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, about another minute. How you doing on time? We good? Evan, why don't you, would you read us one? Just pick one.
What, the question for feedback or the,
Go ahead
or
and read
the,
us, like one of your experiences. Kind of read us your outline of one of your experiences, if you would.
well, my first Odyssey plan is the number one choice, right?
Yep.
Okay, well, for me, that's engineering, staying with my current major,
Okay.
finding something that I'm interested in and that I can do well. And hopefully
what is the
finding a job
experience?
later on.
So what will your role, place, experience, impact look like? Meaning, what will that look like?
One second. Let me just pull it up because I think I was doing the wrong thing. Could you come back to me? I'll have it in like a minute.
Yep.
Thank you.
Who's got one? Ethan, yes, sir.
I'll go. I don't know if I did this right. I was kind of just basing it off of the slide. So, I went with the first one in the Odyssey workshop, kind of talking about that thing I do. And so my headline, I said, is my future graphic design with a question mark, because I truly don't know if that's what I want to do, and that's something I need to decide right now. So
That's fair.
for the role, I said, it's helping me decide if I want to do this after college. So that's kind of the thing that it plays right now. And I guess the place would be my career after college, I think. And then like the social experience, I said talking to like fellow I guess graphic design, I guess employees and people who worked at like my design internship last summer. So I guess ones who I could talk with about like, getting a sense for what graphic design really is. And if I could see myself doing that after college. And then meaning I said if I would be like truly interested in it. So if I actually like want to do it.
Okay.
Now
So
I don't know if I did that right, but
it sounds like what
yeah.
you've done is that you have tried to use the role, place, experience, and meaning to describe your journey on the plan.
Yeah, I would say
What I
that.
would like you to focus on is what will it look like if graphic design is your career? So if we
Yeah.
get to the end here and graphic design, you know, again, if we had to pick, I would agree with you. This is probably your leading contender, right? It's not that we're
Yeah.
committed to it, that's your leading contender.
Yeah.
What would that entail? Because there's a lot of graphic design things. You're going to be a designer at Apple? Are you going to be a graphic designer for a big corporation that does web? Are you going to be a freelancer? What will your role be in the community and in the family?
Yeah.
If you see this plan out to fruition, where will it be geographically, right? What
Yeah.
kind of, you know, your screensavers, you on some pretty good snow, right? So my sense is that it might, if you had to pick, be in the mountains or someplace near the outdoors. And then the social experience you'll be having, like who you will be with, other young people, my siblings, other professionals, right? If you want to be with a lot of people that think like that, you know, we know where those places are. Those places are in Boston and Brooklyn and Silicon Valley and Baltimore, to be quite honest, right? And then what impact are you going to make? What difference are you going to be making for yourself and for others? It's like, I'm going to be doing graphic design for companies that don't have the resources to be able to put together a top-notch website to help them get their businesses going, right? I'm just totally making that up, but that's a way that you can make impact.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You've answered the questions as to what it would look like in your journey. This is a point where if we're doing challenge, choice, outcome, what's the outcome going to look like? What's your vision of that outcome when you finish it? Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Evan, you want another shot?
Yeah, I'll go for it.
Attaboy.
Okay, I understand what's going on now.
Why we're
So
doing this.
for my role, I would say that I want to be in like a kind of in a larger company, so that there's like a lot of security with my job. For place, I would want to be in like an urban rather than like rural, and preferably at home, like in the US somewhere. I'm not 100% sure where, but I'm sure I'll
You're one of
figure
the
that
few
out
people
eventually.
that could make that statement.
What do you
Everybody
mean?
else in this class would give you a town or a state. For you, home is a country. You're the only person who can phrase it like, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to point that out. That was awesome.
Social experience. Like I said, I want to be in like a larger company so that I have a lot of opportunity to like advance throughout the company rather than just kind of, I don't know. I like to have like job security, if you know what I mean. And then impact, I guess I just want to kind of work on myself and on those around me. I'm not 100% sure yet, but just
Okay, I'm
want
gonna
to
ask
have
you two
some sort of
questions.
impact.
I'm gonna ask you two questions. What impact do you want to have on yourself? Right? That could be, and I'll just give you an example. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I know very often a young allied health person, one of their career paths are, I want to work in a big hospital and learn as much as I can about healthcare and my profession from people that are really good, and then move on to my own private practice, right? So when you're thinking about, and so that impact is, I'm going to learn as much as I can. So the personal growth and the impact, again, the impact can be on yourself, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be you're going to save animals, right? So the impact can be on yourself. The other thing that, so how is it, you say you want to be in a larger company, how do you want to grow? And then the other piece is tying that into the impact. So if I asked you the social piece, you said you wanted to work in a larger company. What would you be doing outside of work?
Probably doing similar things to what I'm doing now. I don't know. I probably have hobbies. keep myself busy other ways.
Okay, because
I'm
that's
not
the
sure.
social piece, right? You know,
Okay.
if you go to someplace, if you go to someplace like the towns that I suggested for Ethan, there's going to be a lot of young, dynamic people that are interested in tech. Like that's going to be your social network and who's there. If you go to Washington, D.C., it's going to be a lot of young people that are on the Hill and are looking to make their way up in Federal Hill and they're involved in government. If you are if you're in Breckenridge, Colorado, there's a lot of people that are really interested in the outdoors and, you know, skiing. Or Charlottesville, Virginia is like that too. There's a lot of master's degree people and lawyers tending bar in Charlottesville so that they can camp and hike and do all the outdoors things. That social piece is more exciting to them. So when I'm asking you about the social piece, what else will you be doing? What other community would you want to be in there outside of work? So I would just ask you to think, so you've got plenty of time to think about your role in work, right? Your first question, your role is going to talk about the firm and what you're doing. And potentially the last one, if your growth is going to be on your personal professional growth early on, that one's going to be about your job and your job setting. Let's try to even that out a little bit when you're talking about the location. And I'm going to make you narrow it down to something smaller than a country. If you want to say an urban domestic urban city along the seaboard, that's cool. That's totally fine, right? But I want you to think about the social component too.
Okay.
And again, I think this is the feedback for everybody, right? I mean, I appreciate the fellas jumping in here and taking the lead. I think these are reasonable questions and distinctions that we're making. Two big distinctions. I'm looking for you to make an educated guess on what will be or what you aspire to, right? And you've heard me say a lot of times, these things aren't aspirational. This is an aspiration for you. What would the outcome look like? And I'm asking you to consider, this isn't really new. This is a combination of your work view and your life view, right? You're talking about both your work situation and the quality of life and what you value situation when you're doing it. All right, this is an opportunity for you to convey that. If I had to ask you to do it again, Evan, now that we went through this, I would probably say my first Odyssey plan is being an engineer. I hope to be an engineer in a long firm, at least early on in my career, in an urban location along the eastern seaboard. I really enjoy the water. And I really enjoy water sports, and I want to be in a really dynamic city with young people like me, where there's a really vibrant social and athletic culture. And while I'm there, I want to really concentrate on my own personal and professional growth and becoming a great engineer. So I'm in a position to be able to make my next choice. So it's more of a conversational piece that I think you'll get as you go through the list. A little bit more frequently. And that part I would ask if that's helpful for the rest of you too. That's kind of what I'm looking to get at. Certainly filling out the 4 pieces, but then being able to explain it, because that's what you're going to have to do on Thursday. Okay. I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you another 2 minutes to tweak what you have. And then I'm going to put you into 6 pairs. So you have an opportunity to read and provide feedback to each other. All right. Okay, I'm gonna pair you up if you think you've had the time. I am gonna ask this. You're gonna be interacting with one of your classmates. I'm gonna ask you to turn the cameras on in your rooms so that there's an actual in-person, more of an in-person interaction. So let me had this set up. Okay, so what I would like it, let's do this. Let's see this. Let's do this. Rather than have each person do all three, do one at a time. So do that thing you do, and then the other person does that thing they do, and go back and forth on those so that it's a little bit easier to provide the feedback, and you're not trying to provide feedback on what'll become like a mush of stuff. So go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, back and forth. Be about a minute each way, minute and a half each way, and I'll be jumping around and taking a look. All right. Isabella, how are you? Sorry I didn't get a chance to visit with you. What role does Caroline want to have in that thing that she does? And what kind of social experience and impact
Well,
does she want to make?
So the three things that she mentioned were marketing, corporate lawyer, and traveling. And I guess like the main thing was just like getting
What
the
was that thing that
experience.
she does? What was that, her first choice? Caroline, what's your number one?
Her marketing.
Marketing. Okay. So what role does she want to have as a marketing? in her
She
marketing
just
role?
said like something in like the marketing field.
Okay.
Yeah. And then place, I think she said like somewhere in the city or like, yeah.
Okay.
And then social experience, she just said like talking to different people,
Okay.
something like that. And then impact, I don't remember exactly what she said about impact. I apologize.
Caroline, what'd you say about impact?
I said, use my marketing skills and other working skills I have to make the workplace better and help the company grow.
Okay. So you're going to be all in. The impact you're going to make is on your company. And you're going to be in working on. So if that's the case, are you going to be working for a K Street or big New York City marketing firm?
I mean, maybe, but I think it'd be like cooler to work for like a smaller business and then help it grow and watch it become like a bigger thing.
Yeah, and I think you'd be more likely to do that in a smaller business than in
Mhm.
one of those great big places. So if that's the case, let's work backwards. What is the role that you conveyed to Isabella that you wanted to have for your marketing thing that you do?
I mean, I just kind of said like marketing for like a company or like the company's products. I didn't really have like a specific thing.
Okay, so okay, that's fine. So let's create one for what you want to do. I think I have a sense of what you're talking about. So you want to be an in-house marketing person for a small company. That's different than being in a marketing firm that companies hire to come in, right? So you want to be working and you want to market my clothing line, or you want to market my app or my nonprofit or whatever it might be. So you want to be the marketing arm of a company. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, no, that's great. So I would like you to create, and it doesn't matter what kind of industry that you want to go to, but as you describe your role, I'd like you to make that clear. It's like, I would like to have a marketing role in a company to help them market their company and to help it grow. Right? I mean, that's essentially what you want to do. And then that leads right to where's the company going to be? I like interacting with other people, like all the things that Isabella reported about you wanting to be in the city. Is that New York City or in cities in general?
I guess cities in general, but like New York City would be like my first choice probably.
Okay, no, that's fine. Say it. Let's just say you want to go to New York City. If I was going to be in marketing, there's a lot of people that do that there. So you'd probably learn a lot and it's fun. Okay. All right. Okay. I want to move along here, and I want to get into the next piece, which again, thinking towards your presentation that's due on Thursday. There's going to be an introduction involved in that. And what I would like you to do is, we've done a number of these personal introductions, right? You've introduced your story, your challenge, choice, and your outcome. You've introduced your mind maps. So my sense is your quick introduction and who you are is going to be very easy. I don't need you to go into the entire story of where your values came from and, putting a challenge, choice, and an outcome. You're basically doing an introduction to your Odyssey plan, then introduces yourself and your values. Because if you say that, my sense is that your viewer is going to be able to help. It provides some context for your viewer as you start to talk about your plans, and especially when you start to talk about the role and the impact that you want to make, right? So if you care about family and you're talking about your role as a parent, that makes a lot of sense to me, right? And I'm going to remember that. There's some coherence in your story. So the other part, and again, trying to make this conversational, is to do the introduction and to have it seamlessly lead into what will be your first Odyssey plan. And for most of you, it'll be that thing that you do. I mean, it's a logical place to start, right? So if you introduce yourself, something about you, and what you value in 15 or 20 seconds, and then you clearly state your intention. I'm going to present my 3 Odyssey plans. My first Odyssey plan is corporate attorney, right? Whatever it is. And that brings you right into going through the questions it addresses, how you answered those questions, and what your process is going to be through those 5 stages, right? Just giving us kind of a run through and what your social role and experience is going to look like. You may decide that you go right into your Odyssey plan. It's like, my goal is to, and you go right into that experience right off the bat. And then you go back. In order to do that, I'm going to try to create the following experiences, and you go through those five pieces. Does that make sense? So you've got some latitude there as to how to do it. I always think backwards when I'm doing calendars and timelines. So I would probably set out the outcome and then how I would get there, but I'll leave it to you to figure out what works. You know, try a couple and see how it goes. So I'm going to ask you to put together your introduction in a minute, like not a lot of time on this, and then we'll go around and we'll give a couple. All right, so spend a minute doing putting in your mind. If you want to jot down notes, that's totally fine. What are you about? What are your values? And how are you going to lead into your Odyssey plan when you record it on Thursday night? One other thing I'll add is you go into your Odyssey plan, and this will then apply to all 3 of them. If you give your values and you introduce that plan, and you want to say something like, this was inspired by my current major, what I've always wanted to do, the direction that I think I'm going. Why did it become that thing that you do? Okay, another 20 seconds or so. Juan, I'm going to have you lead us off.
Okay. So do you want us just to read again what?
Yeah,
the-
introduce yourself and your Odyssey plan, your first Odyssey plan.
Okay. So, my name is Juan Lopez, and although I live at Loyola, I'm from Puerto Rico. Currently, I'm a political science and global studies major, minoring in business admin. My challenge is that I may switch majors in order to feel more prepared for grad school and be a successful professional. Coming from a family with a strong work ethic, I am confident I will figure it out before I graduate and make them proud.
Okay, and now get us into how would you transition us into your first Odyssey plan?
My first Odyssey plan would be okay, here it is. So my first Odyssey plan is narrowing down my professions and just like deciding what lifestyle and career I want to have by just like explaining the internships I could have and just narrowing down what's interesting to me.
Okay, so what's the title of your first Odyssey plan?
My first Odyssey plan is titled "Now Expanding My Horizons."
Okay, just say that.
Yeah.
Just say that, and this is based on me trying to determine which major I want to have, right? That thing that you do is your process, correct? You haven't picked like global studies or political science or business administration or one of your majors, okay? So it's going to be important for you to keep focused on that and just to be very succinct and to state that. I also think you can probably tighten up and make your intro just a little bit shorter.
Okay.
All right.
Should I pass it to someone else? Or...
No, I'll do that.
Okay.
Caroline.
My name is Caroline Cody. I'm from New York and I go to Loyola. I still haven't decided exactly what I want to major in. My values are like respecting others, equality, generosity, kindness. And I said my goals are to figure out what I want to pursue and make my family proud, and figure out what I would like to do. I created my Odyssey plans, and the first one is marketing. The first headline is marketing, which is the thing that I do.
That was really good. That was really good. I couldn't tell in the beginning, you had kind of a subordinate clause in there that you weren't really sure about your major, maybe like the third or fourth sentence. And I think you come back to that at the end. But I think the strength of what you just gave was that you were talking about trying to figure out your major, and then that led right into your Odyssey plan seamlessly. I thought that was a great transition in how you did that. Okay. Do you have a sense of what we're trying to get here? So it's a short introduction that talks about your values really quickly, and then just boom, it leads you right into it. It can be an easy transition, like my first Odyssey plan is that thing that you do. The title is, or my first Odyssey plan is titled Business Administration. My parents run a business, and I've always thought that I would go to college to be able to learn how to run my own business. Boom, and then you can go right in and start bringing yourself through it. Okay? Before we go, went too far. Have your Odyssey plans are going to be due Thursday night at midnight, so you still got some time to fuss with them. Again, really trying to make it as conversational as possible. So please practice. The criteria for those are posted under the assignment. I want you, we're going to start transitioning now to the prototype conversations. So use the handout. And what I'd like you to do is to put together a draft of like an introductory email that you would send to somebody to ask them to meet with you. And we'll go over those. We're also going to start working on the prototype planner. So that's on the Moodle site. Go ahead and download that planner because we're going to be workshopping directly on that on Thursday. All right. If you have any questions, please stick around. Nick, please stick around. I have a story for you, and I will see you on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Romani.
Hello.
I'm going to tell you a story about Dave Russ.
Okay.
Dave Russ might not only be one of the smartest people I ever met, but when I was recruiting him to come on our faculty at the University of Maryland, the chair of what is the top physical therapy program at the University of Delaware, this brilliant guy, Stuart Binder-McLeod, said, Dave's one of the smartest people I know. Not the smartest student. He might be one of the smartest people I know. Dave was so smart. I got along with Dave. We shared a lab together, great big lab space with like rats and stuff running around. And he's close to my age, so it's not like he was this old guy. And Dave was so smart that a lot of the students didn't really like him. He just didn't really relate. And we had a number of conversations about this because I was in charge of the teachers and it became a problem. Right? Dave is the only person, and he acknowledges this. And I remember him telling the story. He's like, when I went into PT school and they interviewed and they said, oh, everybody wants to help people, because I didn't really care about helping people. I just wanted to be a researcher. I wanted to find solutions to these problems and these questions that I had. And being a physical therapist was going to help me do that. He's the only other person that I've ever heard say that. He's the only one. And now you have to keep in mind that for 2 years, I was the director of admissions of a physical therapy program.
Yeah.
Right? So I heard hundreds of students tell me about how they wanted to help people. When I was at Delaware, they told me all the time that everybody says, oh, you're going to come in the interview and you're going to say you want to help people. And everybody said that. Dave Russ not only didn't say it, he intentionally didn't say it, just like you did.
Yeah, because I feel like I should be very upfront in the beginning, because that's like actually how I feel. Like I didn't do this because of anything else except like I just love biology. It's not anything like there's no story behind it or anything.
So I'm going to give you, so you remember we talked the difference about advice and counsel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to give you some advice that will open the door to ongoing counsel if you should choose to do it. So this can be an ongoing conversation between you and I.
Mm-hmm.
If that's the way you feel, and I know it is, and you're going to, your preparation at Loyola is going to prepare you to do that. The one place where you will be able to say that and it will be embraced is if you go through a nursing PhD program. So, and what that will do was over the 5 years that you will be in graduate school, you will take the basic science and the clinical courses necessary for nursing alongside other researchers that are going to be getting their PhD. You will be doing all of the research in a lab, whether that be a human performance lab or a benchtop lab, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then you will go out and you'll do your clinical rotations and you'll get your nursing license, but then you will also get a PhD. They might be 6 years, but usually they're 5 or 6. So you'll be doing a dual degree. The only reason I say that to you is that there's going to be a lot of nurses that are going to be pissed at you for saying that you don't want to help people. Right? And to be honest, you're going to be with other people that don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you, I mean, you just talked about being with people and in the situation you want to be in. You can be in an environment with people that feel the same way that you do. That will be better for both sides of your career, your clinical career, your other. When I was in the biomedical, look, before I was at AARP, I was in biomedical engineering. I had an appointment at the engineering school at Hopkins, and I was in biomedical engineering, right? And I want to be very clear about something. When the math equations have letters in them, I don't understand them, right? I'm not an engineer. Like I'm on the front of my seat every day trying to keep up. But I was the only person in the building who treated a patient,
Oh,
right? So I was immensely valuable when somebody said, I don't know how much anatomy you know, but we're going to be able to repair the meniscus of the knee and be able to have people up and walking on it the next day, because it's going to have an adhesive and there's going to be glue that's also going to have sugar in it, so that it'll provide nutrition for the stem cells so that the meniscus will heal. But right, I'm the only one who knows if I can get somebody up the next day, that means they're not weight bearing, that they're not going to be on crutches for 3 weeks. Their level of morbidity and their ability to get back to function is going to go up by 2 months. And that's a really big deal financially, like everything. That's a big, but nobody else was thinking that way.
Mm.
That's what Dave brings. Dave's a great clinical researcher, right? But that's the piece that I just want you to be very clear that there is a pathway for you that isn't a choice. It's a both.
okay.
Right? That you can be with other people who feel the same way you do. But you're only the second person I've ever heard say it. And you're
Well-
going to give me an excuse to email Dave Russ here in a few minutes,
I'm
who's at the
glad.
University of Ohio.
Yeah, is he also a professor?
Yes.
Mhm.
He's a
Yep.
brilliant, yes, he's on faculty there, and he's a brilliant physiology researcher.
That's good. All right. Well, I have a class in like
Yes, that's good, man.
minutes. So it was great. This was a great story. I definitely would like to meet David Russ one day.
I would pay to see that.
All right.
Okay, I'll see you later.
I'll see you Thursday. Thank you.